So this is the bi-weekly meeting of the Kubernetes Storage Special Interest Group. Today is February 2, 2017. As a reminder, this meeting is public and recorded. We have a lot of items on the agenda today, starting off with status updates. 1.53 and 1.49 are planned to go out at the end of next week, February 10. If you have anything that needs to go into either of those releases, make sure to get them cherry-picked as soon as possible. For 1.53, assign them to me. For 1.49, assign them to Jess. Any other status updates from anyone?
Saad, this is Jeff. I just wanted to say that John and I have been making progress on end-to-end testing focused on persistent volumes mostly, but we're also starting some disruptive tests that involve volumes and making sure the kubelet gets mounts unmounted and cleans up stuff like that. And I'd like to just say that I know there's been work to improve the PR workflow and speed it up. And in my experience, I'm noticing an improvement. So I just wanted to let you know that it's appreciated, and I do see a difference.
Awesome, glad to hear. Anybody else? All right, moving along. Next up are design reviews. First on the list is Persistent Local Storage by Michelle. Michelle, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So there's a lot of topics on the agenda today, so I don't know how deeply we can go into this today. But basically, Vish and I have put out a high-level overview of how to manage local storage. This is for both ephemeral and persistent use cases. The document basically covers the high-level use cases that we're trying to solve with the overall workflows of how you would use the features to solve these use cases. And what we would basically like for everyone to do is to read through the document and make sure that first, we have covered all of the use cases. And then second, do our workflows seem to be able to cover the use cases in a good way? We had a few questions, open questions about some of the use cases, namely, at least for persistent storage, the main use cases that we've been targeting are distributed file systems and databases using stateful sets. So we would like to hear from anyone if they have any use cases that don't use stateful sets. The second use case we weren't sure about is for ephemeral storage. Is there a need for ephemeral storage to be able to have dedicated SSD disks? And then the third use case, we're looking for some feedback on our block level storage, if there's any use cases using those. So I don't know if you guys want to discuss that here, or feel free to comment on the issues, the PR, if you see anything that is not included.
One quick question, Michelle. Will LVM be supported in the persistent local storage?
Right now, our proposal does not include LVM, mainly because the use cases that we've been targeting and the people that we've talked to, that what they really want is dedicated disks. And I guess one of the things with LVM is that it'll be difficult if we're, dynamically partitioning the storage, then it'll be difficult to guarantee that the consumers will be able to get dedicated disks and get their dedicated IOPS.
Okay. I think that we have someone from our team also has the similar use case or request. I think he has an issue or either issue or design spec available. I can just link that to your PR. And
okay.
and just discuss over there.
Yeah, great. Yeah. If you, just, comment on the PR with any of the links to issues you may have. If you have more use cases that we haven't covered here, then we want to know about it as well.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle. Anybody else have questions for Michelle? All right, let's move on to the next design. Next up is Mount Options by Hemant.
Hey, so we discussed this, like there's a need of supporting mount options in the volume plugins and exposing that as an API at API level so that users can configure options they want. I have opened a proposal, design proposal. There is at least one problem that is we are still exploring an option how to solve that properly, which is like how to disallow options that are not supported or are problematic. So we are considering several options like blacklisting the options, allowing admin to blacklist certain mount options, or using key value pairs and the other options. So if you guys can read the proposal, design proposal, comment on it, that'll be great. And it's at this point, you can specify mount options on PVs for static provisioning as on volume source when you're doing the on pod or as part of storage class. So that's the proposal, how we have proposed. So any feedback or comments is welcome.
Cool, thanks, Hemant. I'll take a look at that PR and comment on it. My gut feeling is I'd like to see a whitelist instead of a blacklist, but we can discuss it on the PR.
Sure.
Anyone have comments on this design? All right, let's move on to the next one, cloud provider metrics. Again, Hemant.
Yes, so I've opened a proposal for we have had problems where we had AWS quota being blown up and users are noticing it quite later, and at that point they might already get locked out of their own clusters. So we want to basically provide metrics so that people can see how Kubernetes is using the cloud provider API. What is the latency on certain API calls, like volume provisioning, something is taking time. So yeah, there's a proposal out for those metrics. People have already, a lot of developers have commented on it. It's in good shape. And I have already written a POC that kind of works. But yeah, if anybody has comment, currently I'm only covering storage calls. It could be extended to cover other API calls as well. And I'm only considering GC and AWS. I think I can open tickets to cover other cloud providers. If other people who own those cloud providers can take care of that bit, that'll be great. But at this point, this proposal itself just covered for these two cloud providers. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, last time I took a look at this, it looked pretty good to me. Are all the comments comments addressed already, or?
There's one comment at least that I need to answer about using summary versus histogram for metric type. I think histogram is fine. It just it doesn't changes any of the internal implementation details. It's just the metric type. So okay. It's not a big deal.
Cool. Any questions for Hemant? All right, that is all the design reviews folks signed up for. Does anybody else have anything they didn't put on the agenda?
So it's Vish here.
Hey, Vish.
I just want to add a few more points on the local storage design that Michelle already went over. specifically, there are a few open discussion or like questions that we have posted in the PR, and we need feedback on that. So we need feedback not only on just use cases, but we also want like feedback on design options that we have chosen right now, and like we still have some open questions around that.
And there's an office in Montreal.
So again, I'm just pointing out that if you are a hardcore Kubernetes developer, please give the PR a read and like give some feedback on some of those discussion points.
So that's a good point. Anybody who's interested in this, please take a look at it. And it is a major feature. So I'd recommend everybody take a look at it if they get the chance. All right, moving along. Next up, PRs that need attention. Looks like there were a bunch of PRs added in. I think most of them were added in by Jan. Is that correct?
Yeah, most of them are mine. It is mixed bag of old PR, which kind of stored, and new PR I need for Kubernetes 9.6. So I would appreciate if somebody looked at them.
Okay. Is there anything that you want to discuss during this meeting, or is it just a call for please review this?
Yeah, it's just a call.
Okay.
Thanks.
Cool. Do all the PRs have assignees already?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a random choice, so
yeah.
Somebody is responding. So.
Okay, let me take a note to go through and make sure that the assignees have are accurate.
Thanks.
All right, next up we have proof of concept by Luis about Quartermaster storage controller framework.
Thank you. I'm just going to take just about 5 minutes of your time talk about this. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. So let me share my screen. If I can figure out this sharing screen tool. I think it's this one. Okay, can you guys see this slides?
Yep.
All right, excellent. So what Quartermaster is a project, kind of a continuation of something that I was part of when I was part of Red Hat, where we tried to deploy storage inside Kubernetes. And one of the things that we did, we were able to actually accomplish that. We were able to deploy Gloucester in Kubernetes, and I see other projects that now starting to deploy storage inside Kubernetes as containers. But one of the things that we found also that it was complicated to deploy them, complicated to set them up in a way that it would satisfy the cluster being ready and being able to then provision storage for the applications. So this project is something that we started at CoreOS, and we wanted to get your opinion because we wanted to see if this is something that we should continue. This is something that the SIG thinks that is a good idea, and something that the SIG will also like to participate in because we definitely need community help around this. So what Quartermaster is really a pod, a container that sits on Kubernetes, and it listens for events. And some of the events I'll go into in a little bit. But what it does is its main goal is to deploy and upgrade and do everything that it needs to be done on a storage system that is normally done by an administrator. And for example, if you have OpenStack Swift, or if you have Kubernetes at the moment, and you install an external storage system, one with Kubernetes or one with OpenStack, you have to set it up yourself. You have to go through all the installations to set up. You have to decide the disks and so on. What we're trying to do with Kubernetes is change that model and be able to deploy inside Kubernetes using those technologies that Kubernetes provides. And with Quartermaster, what it's trying to do is leverage that specifically for deploying storage inside Kubernetes and be able to provide status and also create a simple way to get information from the storage systems and deploy them. So right now, when we deploy a storage system onto Kubernetes, we have to first set it up. We have to find the disks that we want to use. We have to deploy them the storage. We have to initialize it, make sure it has all the information needed to be able to satisfy provisioning. And then we have to then provision it whenever request comes in and attach it to an application. So the last two are, again, provided by Kubernetes, but the first two are the ones that are provided by Quartermaster. So how does it do this? The way it does it is that a storage cluster, a third-party resource, is registered with Kubernetes, and what happens is that the administrator defines the cluster. I want, whatever type of storage that I want. It could be Ceph, it could be Gluster, it could be whatever containerized storage system they want to deploy inside Kubernetes. They define the entire cluster, and they submit that to Kubernetes. Once that happens, Quartermaster then reads that information, looks at the description, and figures out that each one of the cluster is made out of a certain number of nodes. So then what Quartermaster does is that it creates a new object, new third-party resource object called storage node, and then provides that back to Kubernetes. And then once it does that, it takes that information and actually calls the drivers. They have Quartermaster specific drivers to deal with each one of those systems to be able to initialize the node and the storage according to the requested storage type. So the architecture is kind of simple. It has two third-party resource operators, are called, or way to get events. And once they get events from those and wants to take action, it deals with everything that Kubernetes, all the Kubernetes communication for you, for the driver developer. And then it calls the driver only to exercise those things that are needed for that storage system. One of the things that it also does is that because it leverages Kubernetes and its ways of defining status for its objects, it kind of follows that same line and providing status for the storage node or a storage cluster. So now an API, as an API, it provides that information externally so that clients can then consume it. It doesn't matter what now storage system you have deployed inside Kubernetes. Some of the things in the future that we would like to do with this also is the ability to upgrade. One of the things that happens a lot is we upgrade Kubernetes, we upgrade all these containers, that's great, but then the storage systems have a certain way of being upgraded. And what we would like to do is that we would like the administrator or the client to be able to change the revision of change the image, and then that cause an upgrade and have the drivers understand how to do an upgrade correctly for that storage system. Lastly is adding or removing nodes. For example, if you want more storage or we want less storage or one of your nodes died, how do you do that? How do you go through that? Everything's, again, handled by Quartermaster, but we just need to be able to edit the third-party resource through kubectl, but I'm sure there's other ways that we can go around that. But the goal of Quartermaster, again, is to be able to deploy, manage, get status, and of your storage system, again, from a simple point of view. We don't want to manage every specific thing, but from just I want more storage, I want less storage, one of my storage dies, what do I do now? And things like that. So I have an architecture document that I put together and a demo also that is also recorded that you can see. And please provide feedback of what you think. Please let me know. My email's at the top, I think. It's definitely on my architecture document. And let us know what you think. Thank you. I think you're muted.
Sorry. The definitions that you provide to set up the storage cluster,
Yes.
do they define exactly which disks on the node to use?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Let me share my screen again. Because then I will answer by showing you the architecture document. And in there, there's towards the bottom, there's a definition of the storage cluster. And here's an example of one right here for Gluster. Now, again, it has to do with what the storage driver requires. For example, for Gluster, it required raw disk. Which of the raw disks on that node can I take over? It could be that you deploy a storage system that requires file systems, maybe on top, or requires something else. So it's up to the storage system when it gets, when you want to deploy that type, that defines what it needs to be able to accomplish that task.
Got it. And that's all defined in the essentially the storage plugin for.
That's it's still defined in the storage cluster third-party resource, and then it gets consumed by the driver.
Got it. That's cool. And you have examples of GlusterFS, NFS, and what was the third one?
We have a mock. So what so that one of the things that we're going to do too, if we see that people like this, and what we're going to do is we're going to I have it as a POC right now. We're going to open source it, and we like to work with vendors or those out there that containerize their storage products to be able to easily deploy them into Kubernetes.
Very cool. Yeah. This might be a fun presentation to give to the workloads SIG as well.
Oh, cool. Thanks. I'll definitely talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
So we have also asked him to present at the Stateful Containers meetup that's happening on Feb 15th.
Did you get that, Luis?
Yes, I did.
Awesome.
Thank you very much for the invite also. I will definitely participate on that. I appreciate that.
Cool. Any other questions for Luis? All right. Thank you very much for your time. That was awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Take care. All right. Moving along. Next up is a discussion about deprecating the recycler policy, specifically around the process of when we can do this. Erin, are you there?
Erin's wasn't able to attend. This is Jeff. She asked John and I to fill in for her, but I'm also hoping Brad. Is Brad on the call?
Brad is not.
No, Brad is traveling, so Brad is not.
Okay. Well, so I just know that at some point, I know that, and Jan, feel free to jump in if you're still on the call. I know there's been timing windows and issues with the recycler, and that there's been a desire to deprecate it. I believe Brad created an issue or a PR to do that, but I think it stalled out. I know Aaron talked to some Red Hat OpenShift project managers to see if we had customers using relying on NFS recycling in the online version of OpenShift or in the enterprise version, and she came back with the answer that no, which is a good answer if we're trying to deprecate it. And I know John on our team has restructured some persistent volume tests, end-to-end tests, so that the recycling is all consolidated into a single test suite, so it would be easy to remove it once recycling is deprecated. But I don't have any status on if there's forward progress in doing that, or if there's been an official announcement so that the clock can start again on the deprecation. Saad, do you know anything about that part of it?
I'm not sure. I know Brad Childs was put out a PR. I'm not sure what the status of it is. Could we punt this to the next meeting and when Brad or Aaron are here and discuss it then?
Sure.
Awesome.
John on my team, do you have any other info on that?
No, I don't, outside of what we know from Aaron.
Okay. That's it. Then that's all I have, Saad.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Ritesh, you put a item about new end-to-end tests.
For vSphere, I should cloud provider for vSphere, we added a bunch of new tests, and we have opened a PR for them. So I would like the SIG to take a look. Some of the codes right now is written only for vSphere, but the generic tests that we have identified should be applicable for almost every cloud provider, and maybe a lot of the code can be reused.
Cool. Jeff and John, you guys would be great to review this since you guys have been writing a lot of E2E tests. Can I assign one of you as a reviewer?
Yeah. But you can put both of us in. That's a good idea.
Okay. All right. I don't think John is part of the organization, so I can't assign him, but I assigned you, Jeff.
Okay.
And feel free to ping me if you need my attention on it.
But will do.
And storage class GA. What's this about, Ritesh? Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I volunteered as a reviewer for storage class GA, and I was struggling to find what exactly I need to do. So I searched for the issues that are open against storage classes. There are a bunch of issues opened against storage classes. And I don't know if the desire is to GA storage class as is today and only change the API definitions, or is there some blocking bugs or some implementation that we need to, like, for example, dashboard today doesn't have any visibility into storage classes. So I don't know if that's a task item that needs to be tracked or how it can help.
I think Jan was leading that effort. Jan, do you have any comments on that?
Well, I think me and Michelle went through bugs and we didn't find anything serious. And I have a couple of PRs to review which are linked to the, I don't know if it is the proposal or the feature page.
Oh, I know. It's hot dog.
I have no intention to update dashboard on something like that or anything about that. If you feel it's necessary, then please fill in issues and find somebody to write the code.
So I think a good question is whether we're going to keep the same API. Right now, in order to trigger dynamic provisioning, we are using the storage beta annotation.
The beta will be working for a couple of releases.
Okay, but are we okay calling it GA when the API is beta?
No. There will be a stable API and the beta annotation will keep working.
Oh, got it. Okay. So there's going to be a new annotation which is stable.
There will be a class of, there will be attribute in PV and PVC.
Oh, got it. And those PRs are pending or?
Yeah, these are on my list of PRs to review. Okay.
Excellent. Could you make sure to loop Ritesh into that?
Okay.
And the second big item that I had there was the ability to easily disable the default storage classes. Right now, I think they're add-ons, cluster add-ons. And the problem with cluster add-ons is that they are automatically created by the cluster, and any modifications that a user makes to the API server immediately get overwritten. I don't think that's an issue that you have to directly resolve, but maybe something to keep an eye on. Make sure.
There is an issue, and it's randomly cycling through Google people.
Yeah.
And nobody seems to want to touch that.
So, I was keeping track of that issue. Currently, someone from the add-on team is making some changes.
Awesome. I think that'll be big. And that's all I had. Ritesh, did you have anything else that might not be covered? Are you there? I think we might have lost him. Okay, let's move along. Any questions or comments about storage class GA? All right, so that is the last item on the agenda. Did anyone else have anything else they want to discuss?
I have one really just quick question, just for fun.
Please.
Anyone else going to KubeCon Europe, or did I miss that part of the meeting when I came in late?
We didn't discuss that. That's a good question.
I know that Saad will be there, and I think I'll be there. So I don't think we need like a big formal face-to-face because it might be just hard for everyone to get there, but it might not be a bad idea just to hook up, say hi, at least, you know, have an informal yo, as opposed to, any agenda items or things like that. That's all.
Yeah, good point. I'm going to add an item to the agenda. Feel free to put your name down there.
Also, anyone who can ask Saad a really, really tough question, if there is a question and answer session for his presentation, we'll get a thank you from the bottom of my heart. Let's keep him on his toes. And also wish him luck.
It'll be fun. I'm excited. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, we'll give you 25 minutes back in your day. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.